It's Ken Harbaugh with Burn the Boats on the MeidasTouch network. My guest today was once deep inside Trump's inner circle. He was a key player in the attempt led by Rudy Giuliani to dig up dirt on Joe Biden and manufacture whatever evidence they could. Lev Parnas is now speaking out because, as he told me, he wants to be able to say to his kids that at the end of the day, he stood on the right side of history. Here's his recent testimony before Congress. My conversation with Lev Parnas is right after.
The American people have been lied to by Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and various cohorts of individuals in government and media positions. They created falsehoods to serve their own interests, knowing it would undermine the strength of our nation. From November 2018 to October 2019, I was a key participant and a witness to numerous efforts to prove that Joe and Hunter Biden were linked to corruption in Ukraine. Rudy Giuliani, on behalf of then President Donald Trump, tasked me with a mission to travel the globe, finding dirt on the Bidens so that an array of networks could spread misinformation about them, thus securing the 2020 election for Donald J. Trump. Today, I ask you to consider the following. In nearly a year traveling the world and interviewing officials in different countries, I found precisely zero evidence of the Bidens' corruption in Ukraine. The only information ever pushed on the Bidens in Ukraine has come from one source, and one source only: Russia and Russian agents. The impeachment proceedings that bring us here now are predicated on false information spread by the Kremlin. Everyone involved knew they were sharing lies. From Trump and Giuliani's shadow diplomacy, through my missions to Ukraine and elsewhere, to members of a BLT team, a group convened for the sole purpose of investigating and damaging the Bidens. Everything was for the ultimate benefit of Donald Trump and thereby Vladimir Putin.
My guest today is Lev Parnas, who played a central role working with Rudy Giuliani in the campaign to pressure Ukraine to investigate the Biden family. Since then, Lev has worked closely with federal prosecutors to help expose the corruption of Donald Trump and his inner circle, of which Lev was a part. Lev, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Ken.
I'm pretty sure that most people who follow this network know the basic facts of your story. And if they don't, they can find those in a million other places. It's been covered. What I want to do is get to know you a bit more, because everyone I've talked to, at least everyone who knows you well, says that your conversion is real, that you sincerely want to atone. You want to be able to, as I heard you say recently, look your kids and your grandkids in the eyes and say you were on the right side of history. How did that happen? For most people who orbit Trump as closely as you did, they get sucked in and they never come back out. He is a political black hole. When did you decide you'd had enough?
I mean, as crazy as unfortunate it was, but I had to have some really drastic things happen in my life. I had to hit a brick wall because I was so entrenched in that cult of Trump and where a lot of these mega cultists are. But I was on top of the mega, as you call it, tree. I was right there with Rudy and Trump. So I was all in, and it was very difficult. I mean, the pressure I put on my wife, my kids, changing my whole lifestyle association of who we were friends with, who we would associate. I mean, our whole life changed in those 4 years of period of time. And then when I got arrested, it was a transformation like no other, because for me to be able to really atone and try to do good, I had to cut everybody off. I had to cut everything I had. I had to really, at 52 years old, start over fresh, new friends, new life, because, I was on an island, a one man on an island with, the left didn't like me, the right didn't like me. Here I was, nobody knew who I was. And, the media was blowing me up. And obviously Bill Barr was using the media and using the Justice Department to try to silence me, make me out to be somebody I'm not, to be able to protect Donald Trump. So with all of that happening, the most important thing that I was able to get was time away from that mega world. But even by being in my prison cell, by being home confinement, being away from that constant everyday nonstop, Fox News, OANs, the constant congressmen, senators, media, one thing, it's just one thing, and that's the deep state. Go after the Bidens, go after the Clintons. It's like nonstop conspiracy theories every day. And when I was able to get away from that and able to actually reflect, start to see it from the outside, not from the inside, but to see what it looks, because how they always say, you can't hear what you're saying. It's easier to give somebody advice, but it's harder to take that advice for yourself when you're in the moment. So that was kind of that moment where I was on the outside now, looking at all of this craziness, watching them lie on TV, watching them try to, cause all this chaos. And, it came a time I said, enough is enough. I have to do the right thing. And there came a time when I was with my lawyer, my wife, and my lawyer told me, he said, look, I can't defend you unless you're all in on one way or the other. And I said, I'm all in, whatever it takes. I want to do right. I want to make amends. I want to be able to get all this information out. And it wasn't overnight. I could tell you it took some time because there's a lot of pain, a lot of, it's like being a drug addict. Being in a cult is like being addicted. Any other addiction, drugs, alcohol, doesn't matter. You're addicted to you're used to a certain life. You're used to certain treatment. You're used to a certain day you wake up, a routine, and that all goes away. And now you have to start from fresh and you don't know where to go. And that's the hardest part. And that's why I think a lot of people fall back into it, just like they fall back into addiction, is because it's easier to get back into that slimy world of, where everybody agrees than, is to come out and tell the truth and get attacked. So it took a little bit of time, but, I think with the process of my, getting arrested, home confinement, being able to reflect, I finally realized that, this is what I want to do. And this is where the side of history I want to be on.
Trump's defenders today, his acolytes, his inner circle, they know they're lying, right? I mean, it's one thing to be part of a cult. It's another thing to banish logical thought altogether. How do they maintain the edifice when they're out there just, yeah, go ahead.
Well, you have to understand, it's the people that are listening, the cultists, the mega cultists, the supporters, however you want to call them, they truly believe these lies. They don't think they're lying. It's the leaders of the cults, like Donald Trump, like Matt Gaetz, like Moscow Marge, like, Comer, Jordan. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, it's these people that know that they're lying. They know they're lying, but they are pursuing and pushing this lie because the unwilling supporters unknowingly don't understand, because when they see all of these powerful people, all of these people that were taught as Americans from childhood to respect, to believe, the office of the presidency, congressmen, senators, media, and they're all out there telling you this lie and pushing it, it's, the cultists truly believe it, but the leaders know it's a lie. And that's the sick part.
Well, that is the sick part. And what's most frustrating about that is they are best able to escape responsibility. If you just look at January 6th, for example, none of the provocateurs, Josh Hawley fist pumping the insurrectionists from a safe distance, the others telling them to charge the barricades, none of the political leadership has experienced any accountability for what they did on that day.
I mean, and not only that day, but the continuous lies that they continuously push. I mean, you see Marjorie Greene out there. I mean, you see Donald Trump running on a platform that he's going to pardon January, that they're heroes. I mean, they've gotten to such an extreme where they have the national anthem being played by, being sung by these guys in prison at his rallies. I mean, this is really crazy and sick. I mean, this is, I've never seen, in the history of the United States, and maybe you could tell me, where a president ran on division, not unification, not trying to unite a country, not trying to be a president for all, but literally saying that once I win, half this country is in big trouble because I'm going to go after everybody. It's going to be scorched earth. And that's the crazy, scary part, because he's not hiding it. None of them are hiding it. It's open and plain out. This is what we're going to do. Once we win, we are going to cause mayhem. And it's a crazy period of time we're living in right now, Ken.
Well, if there's a silver lining in that, it's that this movement has no future. It's not
Yeah.
inclusive. It doesn't seek to bring more Americans in. It just seeks to animate the angriest and most retributive instincts of a small fraction of Americans. The challenge for us is they can get pretty far with that. They can win a
Oh yeah,
presidency without most Americans and do a ton of damage in
absolutely.
the process.
Oh, absolutely, and that's why these elections. I know it's always said these elections are the most important, and they say it. But I mean, this time I think this is the words really fit. I mean, if you take a look back at history, just think about and I know there's a lot of people out there that keep saying, well, you can't relate Donald Trump to Hitler, and I'm not trying to compare the two because obviously Hitler was a monster. We don't know Donald Trump yet; his history is still being unfolded. But just take a look at the similarities of how Hitler came to power and how Donald Trump is trying to come to power and stay and retain power. It's the same ideology of pushing lies, threats, the threat of war, the threat of being taken over, the threat of immigrants, the pure nation. You know, Hitler wanted the pure Germany. Now Trump wants pure America, pure white America. I mean, it's the same. It's just you turn the words around. And if we learn what history brings, we saw what happened when Hitler won.
Oh
And
yeah.
Donald Trump is no different. It's even scarier because, I mean, being the most powerful man in the world by being the president of the United States, you know, it's one thing when we're talking about the problems that we're having inside our country and the division and the problems. Just think about what will happen outside the country. What a lot of the mega cultists don't understand, because most of these people never travel outside our country, never travel outside their little, you know, county or state that they're in. So they don't understand world politics. They don't care about what happens in Ukraine. They don't know what happens with Putin. They don't understand. They're living today. They don't care what's going to happen to their kids and grandkids and great grandkids down the future, because everything that's happening now, yeah, we might not feel it today. Yeah, they might be rah rah rah. Donald Trump's doing all this. Yeah, he's telling this guy to screw himself, that guy to go. But 20 years from now, we're going to feel it. 20 years
Yeah.
from now, our kids are going to be somewhere losing their life on the battlefield protecting us. And that's the crazy part. And I think the more we get the word out there, the more we spread the message, the more we keep telling it, I think it's extremely important, because also timing. Most Americans right now are not still into the election phase. Americans don't get into election phase till the summertime, till like around end of July, August, September, really September, October, right before November. Those 2-3 months is when it starts heating up and Americans start tuning in to see. So all of these polling we see now, all of this money raising we see now, that's his base. I mean, yes, the mega cultists are pissed off that he got indicted and they raised more money. They got pissed off he got convicted, they raised more money. But it's not new money coming in. It's not, you know, and that's the important part that we don't need to lose track of, that majority of America still believes in good humanity and normality and are not out there that want a tyrant in. The people that want Trump in office are people that are looking to deal makers, criminals, people that could want to wheel and deal, not that they want to run a democracy properly.
Well, and that includes foreign leaders as
Absolutely.
well. I think it is telling that probably the only person on earth who has more at stake in Trump regaining the White House is Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
Vladimir Putin, and you have a perspective on this as someone who
Yeah,
was born in a former Soviet republic,
country. Yeah.
and who has recently testified. Let me pull up the quote. The impeachment proceedings. This is the recent testimony regarding the completely specious impeachment campaign against Joe Biden. You testified that these proceedings that bring us here now are predicated on false information spread by the Kremlin. How did today's Republican Party become such a willing mouthpiece for Kremlin propaganda?
It's sick. It's sick. But I want to just clear it up a little bit. I don't want to say the Republican Party, and we mix it up. It's the the mega
Okay.
Republican, because majority of Republicans are decent people, just like yes, we might not agree on policies, we might not agree on a lot of things, but we all agree on Putin is evil. We all agree that we need to, fight, these, criminals out there in the world. And it's these mega cultists that are part of the Trump world. Like, and again, I could start naming them. The Moscow Marges, the Captain
Yeah.
Venmo, Matt Gates, all of these guys. It's so blinded. They have no idea what the world is going to look like. It's not about policy. It's not about, our country. It's all about winning. It's like cheat at any cost. And right now, if your enemy is the enemy of your friend is my friend. You know what I mean? What I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
So if they understand, and the sick part is that they're using it and they're getting in bed. It's like, there was this movie where you sell your soul, you make the deal with the devil. Well, I want to be able to be rich and this and that, but when I turn 50, you could have my soul, and then 40 years fly by really quickly, and you're 50 years old, like, oh, I don't want to be with the devil now. Yeah. And that's what they're doing. They're not realizing what this is that they're doing. You hear them talking about how Moscow's so great, how Putin's such a great, how come they won't go there? I would like to see Marjorie Greene go visit Moscow. Go spend some time there. Go, Matt Gates. Go take a look at how women's rights are treated there. How LGBTQ rights are treated there. How go see how racism is there. Yeah, we see a pretty picture, but and I'm not trying to downplay and say all Russians are bad. Absolutely not. Most Russian people are good people, but the people that are running the country, the people that are, doing these criminal acts, like the Vladimir Putin and his regime, these are people that have one thing and one thing involved, and they want to bring back the old Soviet Union. They want to incorporate, take over Ukraine, take over all the former regions, and they're doing it in plain sight. And again, it's a small group of mega cultists that have hijacked the Republican Party, and they're holding it hostage and using it. And I mean, we see it. Look what they did with Kevin McCarthy. I mean, you've never seen that. I mean, they tried to do it with Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson went to kiss the ring, didn't work, then had to go and cut a deal with the Democrats to be able to stay. I mean, it's ludicrous to see. So I'm really, really and hoping that the world is going to come out and show Donald Trump and the mega cultists that enough is enough, and it's time to go.
I hope so. And everything we're doing here between now and the election is to try to achieve that end. But I think you have to acknowledge that these MAGA cultists within the party hold enormous sway. I mean, they basically control the Speaker of the House. I'm just back to Ukraine again. They delayed aid for 7 months. I just got back from Ukraine, and I lost count of the number of people who were asking me what in the world was going on. I asked one priest what the delay meant for him, and instead of answering me, he just held up his phone and swiped through photos of the number of funerals he had to do for members of his parish who died waiting for resupply. That extreme wing.
But you know who I blame for all of this stuff is even though Donald Trump is the mastermind, but it's the enablers. Yeah. It's the Nikki Haley's of the world. How dare you, Nikki Haley, come out there and say you're going to vote for Donald Trump? How dare you? Like, I mean, where's the guy went after the Ted Cruz's, the Marco Rubio's, these people that are being destroyed by Donald Trump and embarrassed, their wives, their families, and they're running campaigns. During their campaigns, they're out there showing the criminality that Donald Trump is up to, and then all of a sudden, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? That's the problem. That's the problem. Because you know what? If all these people really turned away, there would be no Donald Trump. There would be. I mean, he'd be a small little man with the big screaming, with the Laura Loomers of the world running out there, there would be no Donald Trump. But, because of the enablers, that's what we have. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ken.
Most clothes are uncomfortable or too tight or never actually the size you really are, not to mention the annoyance of trying to put a good outfit together. Everyone wants to dress their best and look good at all times because, frankly, it's a confidence booster. So here's the deal. Men's closets were due for a radical reinvention, and Rhone stepped up to the challenge. Their commuter collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible set of products known to man. They help you get ready for any occasion with the Rhone Commuter Collection, which offers the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, zips, and polos. You never have to worry about what to wear when you have the Roan Commuter Collection. Their 4-way stretch fabric provides breathability and flexibility that leaves you free to enjoy what life throws your way, from your commute to work to your 18 holes of golf. It's time to feel confident without the hassle. With Roan's wrinkle release technology, wrinkles disappear as you stretch and wear the products. It's that easy. With Gold Fusion anti-odor technology, you'll be smelling fresh and clean all day long. And on top of that, Roan is 100% machine washable, so you can ditch the dry cleaner altogether. I absolutely love Roan. It's comfortable yet professional and has truly become my favorite clothing brand. We're on the move a lot, whether it's jumping from meeting to meeting or catching a flight or an important dinner. The Roan Commuter Collection has never let me down. The versatility and overall comfort of the collection is undefeated. Even after I wear it all day, I still feel super fresh because of that Gold Fusion anti-odor technology. The Commuter Collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Head to roan.com/boats and use promo code BOATS to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/boats and use code BOATS. It's time to find your corner office comfort. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. Here's how it works. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. Metabolic health is one of the keys to overall well-being. Your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into fuel that keeps you going. Because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, etc. Lumen gives you recommendations to improve your metabolic health. So, if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/boats to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/boats for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. Do you worry about violence between now and the election around events like the sentencing, or frankly, anytime the president instigates his followers to do something? He always is able to, retreat behind the First Amendment, but there are always also going to be those MAGA extremists out there who hear the code words, who take it as a call to action, and who act out violently. That's one of my big fears.
Oh, absolutely. But just being inside that group and knowing the way you think, I'm not so much worried about the violence now. I'm more concerned about the violence after the election, no matter what happens, win, lose, or draw, because this is like a volcano that, that's heating up and erupting, but has not erupted. The eruption will take place. This is all gearing up. Just think about how this tidal wave, whatever you want to call it, how everything is heading towards November 5th. When November 5th happens, we understand that Donald Trump is not going to take losing gracefully. The mega cult, it will be it's like, just think about to the extremes fanatics go when their team loses the Super Bowl, or their team loses, they go out there and trash the city or this, area that they're, just because of the, just from football or sports. This is a lot bigger than that. And you're going to have millions and millions of people. They're going to be not happy, upset, and grasping at every straw to save our country in their mind. And I'm more worried about, not so much about the organized, like the Proud Boy type of stuff that we had, because I think right now, with as hot as it is, that the FBI and our authorities are eyeing all of these groups to make sure. I'm more worried about the lone wolves. Because you have so much of these, and you understand what I'm saying. What does it take for a guy to grab an AK-47 and just go up into a mall and just start shooting it up, or go up to, it just doesn't take that much, and with guns as accessible as they are, with people being so hot-headed and things going on. That's what I fear the most. These lone wolf, all over the place, popping up, people that decide they want to make a change and having this craziness.
Well, now you have the former president and the people around him targeting FBI officers, spreading this myth that he was the victim of an assassination plot during the raid on Mar-a-Lago. The people around
Yep.
him, not the president himself, although I wouldn't put this past him, have targeted the jurors
Yep.
in the hush money case against him. I mean, this is a recipe for
Well,
real kinetic
very
action.
important what you just said, Ken, and I want to tell the viewers to understand how things work in Donald Trump world. When you said, they're targeting the jurors, but we don't know if it's Donald Trump. Maybe it is or not. Donald Trump is a micromanager of everything that goes on. And that's one of the things that was brought up in this trial. And I've been talking about for the past 4 years that he was involved in every step that I made in Ukraine. He was involved in every step that Michael Cohen did in his, he's involved in every step that goes on in his campaign and go in the election and everything else. So this is all strategical. If you take a look at with this gag order, there's plenty of strategical meetings between the inner circle of Donald Trump that, like, we used to be the BLT team, but other people like the Matt Gateses, the Judge Janine, and all of these others, personalities, Sean Hannity's, that are out there and discussing what they're going to, and I'm not even talking about the social media and the Charlie Kirks of the world that are out there that are specifically, his voice pieces. They speak to him. They know. So it's like, they go out there and basically attack and they're doing his dirty work. So absolutely he knows what's going on. He's involved in all of this, and he takes pride in when they attack jurors. He takes pride when they attack the judge. That's, if you take a look, this is who he looks up to. I mean, people that are out there that are doing his dirty work. And that's the scary part, Ken, because that's what, the criminal mind, you want to, why do you want to impress your boss? You want to constantly impress your boss. So, then you get these crazy nuts out there with the accessibilities of guns the way they are, that, that's the scary part.
How does that inner circle talk about the violence within the MAGA movement? Did you ever have conversations with Giuliani or others about the unintended effects of this rhetoric? Was there ever any attention paid to how the provocations would be received?
No, I mean, there was never any thought about the consequences to the other side. It was always scorched earth. It's always, we need to destroy them. We need to, doesn't matter, if somebody speaks bad about him and he gets beat up, then he deserved it, because he shouldn't have been speaking bad about President Trump. They don't think that's bad that the guy got beat up because of freedom of speech. He was speaking and he got beat up, but it's okay because, he shouldn't have been talking. It's really, it's a mindset. It's hard to explain to people because the cult mentality is very, very much an addiction. Your mind is different. You don't think, and that's the scary part, because a lot of people are looking and listening to a lot of these people out there that are influential doctors, lawyers, politicians, wealthy individuals, and regular people think that because they're talking, that means they know. But these are people also a part of the cult. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter how poor you are. All it takes is for you to give your mind for a certain period of time and be isolated and just think about the same thing, talk about the same thing, and react to the same thing for a period of time. I promise you, it doesn't matter who you are. Eventually, you're going to believe into that so hard that anything else won't matter. You'll start turning it out yourself.
Does this burn out at some point? I look at the MAGA movement. It doesn't seem to have a whole lot of younger people in it. There are certainly some very influential young people, but I talk to my kids and their friends, and I look at that generation, and there is very little patience for the whole MAGA aesthetic. Do you see this burning out like other cult movements do?
Oh, absolutely. But for it to burn out, just like other cult movements, you have to chop off the head, and as long as Donald Trump is going to be out there running for office or in office or around office or dealing with it's not going to go away. and it's going to continue. And the scary part is they're using the young in trying to recruit more and more mega cultists through the young crowd by using the Charlie Kirks of the world to go out there and promote that. But that's the key, Ken, and hopefully with these elections, this will be because once he loses, Donald Trump, the convicted felon, his life will turn into court cases and dealing with staying afloat, not going to prison, and that will take him away from the spectrum.
Do you think that will be defining for the MAGA movement? I guess this is the old question. Is he a symptom or a cause? Is he the head of the snake, or is there some deeper upwelling that's going to propel another Trump-like figure to the head of this hateful movement? Is Tucker Carlson the next iteration of this?
No, Ken. Look, this movement's been around, embedded in our society for forever. I mean, we have racists in America. We have people that want immigrants in America, and these are going back hundreds of. This is why we've progressed into new laws and news to be able to be a better America, and that's why their voice, which was powerful maybe 200 years ago, has withered away to a point where they became a minority. They would have these conversations in their inner circles and their dining room tables, but they would understand that society didn't accept it, and they wouldn't be out there pounding their chest that I'm a racist and it's okay, and I want to do away with all immigrants and it's okay. I'm saying to you, they could have thought about it, and we had a lot of people that were, but they didn't act it because it was not accepted. Donald Trump came in and gave him that voice. He told him it's okay. You're allowed to go out there and say, I don't want this immigrant working with me, or I don't like black people, or I don't want Jews, or it's okay. You can do America first. As long as you're white Christian and you're an American, then you could do whatever you want and everybody else doesn't matter. And he tuned into that group of minority and gave him a voice. And then what happened was a lot of people that are not even so much for politics, but for their own personal gain, jumped on that bandwagon because they wanted lower taxes, because they liked the rhetoric, because they hated whatever the reason, but they jumped on it, not because they are racist but because there were certain parts that they agreed to, not thinking that this could be such a movement.
Yeah.
But that mega cultist base has been around forever in the United States. It's just been a minority. Their voices have been withered away, and Donald Trump opened it back up and gave him that voice to bring back, instead of progressing and going forward, he's saying, let's take America back 100 years. Let's take it back to the 1950s, where women can't vote, where there's abortion is outlawed, where blacks can't have rights. I mean, let's go back to that's. If you take a look at their policies, I mean, that's what they're slowly but surely, moving us back, not by going forward, but by going backwards.
I've done a 180 on this whole issue of Trump and the symptom or cause question, because he really is a singular figure in American politics. I can't think of anyone else for whom people will charge a capital, go to jail, die even. They're not going to do that for Ron DeSantis. They're not going to launch an insurrection and smuggle weapons into D.C. for Josh Hawley. Trump's the only one they'll do it for.
Correct.
That's the nature of a cult. You can't replace the leader if it's a cult of personality,
right.
Which it is. And so I think you're right. If you, to borrow the phrase, we don't mean it literally because we'll get criticized for this, but if you cut the head off the snake dies.
Correct. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. And I think that's where we're at because, like you said, there's nobody there. Matt Gaetz, I mean, Marjorie, I mean, they all wither away. I mean, they have the only reason they're even out there is because they're sitting right next to him and running around with them. And they're at their war with each other. If you look at what Marjorie Greene and Boebert, they're fighting. And I mean, just think about it. You take Trump out of the picture, they would be eaten up so quickly in that Republican, those voices would be, you wouldn't hear from them. It would become back to normality. The Republicans would get back to Republicans, and it would become back to normal. It would be really quick because all you have to do is get rid. Because remember, there's not a lot of them. They just have a loud voice. They just could scream bigger, talk, louder, go. And the other thing is they go to places they don't play fair. and that's why they're louder. They will say things that you won't say because it's just not normal. It's illegal. It might be a lie, so you won't do it because you have normal ethics. They don't have any of that. They'll say whatever it takes. They'll lie to you. They'll insult you. They'll do whatever it takes. It doesn't matter. And that's why it's an unlevel playing field. So when they're out there screaming, oh, you're a criminal, you're a criminal, you're a criminal, when you're not a criminal. And eventually people are saying, well, maybe he's a criminal. She's saying it like 100 times, nobody's stopping her. Then and that's the MO. They just keep repeating the same thing over and until eventually, and that's their whole same thing with this sham of a court or kangaroo court that they had at the Congress at the hearings. I mean, it wasn't about finding the truth. It wasn't about asking questions. It was about, just filibustering, saying some stuff and getting some headlines out there. And here we are going back onto it. No impeachment. There was, and that's what I'm saying to you. It's all about that. And it goes back to what we were doing. That was the start of it. When we went and we realized that there was no there with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, we then decided it's time to use the media and push the there. Instead of, and if there wasn't facts, we'll create the facts. And it's been going ever since then for the past 6 years, since 2018 when we began. We're in 2024, it's the same thing. If there's no facts, we'll create the facts. If there's no truth, we'll create the lies and create the truth. We'll create whatever you want to hear, and we'll say whatever you want to hear literally and do whatever you want to do and just to get your vote. But then it's over with. Then I'm going to do whatever I want to do.
And you had witting accomplices with major media organizations who are totally ready to pick up those false narratives and that disinformation and run with it. I mean, you can almost see the chain of events from a tweet on Truth Social and whatever those backdoor strategic meetings are, to Fox News picking it up, to it filtering through the far right media ecosystem. I mean, there is an entire infrastructure built to spread these lies.
Yeah, and I mean, but also Trump knows how to use the media. He uses them at their own. Like I'll give you an example. CNN, even though everybody screams at CNN, but I think CNN is one of the biggest Trump promoters out there because of the way they constantly air his stuff and because they're so scared not to get sued that they have to preference every time, like before somebody goes up there, like before they put me on there, they'll go in for 5-minute tirade that I'm a criminal, convicted, this. And now let's speak to Lev Parnas. You go on, you get like a Babalowski or any of those guys that go on Fox. This is an American hero. This is a person saving our democracy. So what I'm saying to you is it's the media. Fox doesn't play fair. They say whatever they want. And CNN tries to be ultra in the middle, and they're trying to be also correct. And by being that, they're still giving Trump that platform and exposing and showing him. Just take a look how they covered the hush money trial. If you take a look at how CNN and Eli Holding, I'm still mind blown. This guy, I don't know what he was doing there. Like, why have him on there? Okay, that's his opinion. He has a right to have that opinion. But I mean, why have the guy up there that he should have been on Fox News. I mean, this is what he was, So now if you're having it, so just think about it. That's why most of America think this trial was a sham. Because of the way CNN covered it, Fox covered it, MSNBC, not so much, I'll give it to them. But, but the way it was covered, everybody's like, come on, it's a joke. Everybody's saying it's a joke.
Well, if you had just watched the media coverage of the trial, you would have assumed that either he was going to get off or it was going to be a close call. And the fact that it was a unanimous jury verdict on all 34 counts is as much an indictment of the media as it is of Donald Trump.
Yes, in 24 hours. And it was that quick. I mean, just think of it. It takes time to go through all the counts. I mean, and you had people on that jury. You had one of the jurors that, I'm not sure, but I think she was a Truth Social follower. She retweeted Trump and and she still voted against him. So what I'm saying to you is, that the media is as at fault of it as they're just the same accomplices and enablers, because again, everybody wants that big breaking news. Nobody wants to go through the news, and that Trump knows that. So he knows that if there's something coming out and he doesn't want the world to see that, he's going to break some other news. He'll just go up there and he'll come out there and say, hey, you know what? President Putin, if NATO doesn't pay us, I want you to invade NATO. Like, who's asking you to, like, what would possess a person, the president, to come out and make those comments? It's, if you take a look at the news that day, he needs to change the news cycle. And that's how he changes the news cycle. He'll come out and say something so far off that all the media will stop what they're doing. They'll stop the stories they're running, and they will jump on whatever the next thing he said. And that's why most Americans and most world don't know all the craziness about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Because he keeps changing it. And all they hear is this thing. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to go back to one thing you said, and we'll end on this because it's a weird kind of uplifting note for a show like this. The folks we're talking about, the Matt Gaetzes and the Lauren Boeberts and the Marjorie Taylor Greenes and the Donald Trumps. We had a guest on this show who made the observation, former Republican, that the only people they actually hate more than us are each other.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And the infighting must have been something to behold. As someone in Trump's inner circle, can you talk about the animus within that group and just I don't know.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, Ken. I mean, like, you take a look, you know, when you watch TV or you think like Bannon and Stone and Giuliani and all of these people are together on the same team trying to. Absolutely. They hate each other. They're all on different camps. They're all out there. It's like, who's going to get the boss's attention? They're all like, you know, it's like, it's like a TV show. It's like Apprentice. He's running like The Apprentice, where these are all contestants, and who's going to bring the next, instead of big company, who's going to bring the next crazy story that's going to help him win the election? Who's going to bring that controversy against Joe Biden or Hunter? Who's going to find that laptop? It was like searching for where's Waldo? You know, that's what all of these people are. And they're out there screwing each other, hurting each other, because it's like, to envision it, it's like, as one of them is getting ahead, the other one jumps and pulls him back and tries to get ahead. So it's not about, none of them want to get in the, it's like, get the actual story. That's who's going to give it to him first. Who's going to get the credit for it? Who's going to get paid basically for it? Because who's going to get the favor? Who's going to be the spotlight? And that's what they all fight for. It doesn't matter if it's Devin Nunes that used to be, look where he had, you know, Midnight Run, part of the BLT team, and now he's the CEO of Trump, you know, Truth Social. Next stop, jail. You know what I'm saying to you? It's all of them, like, what's it called? But that's they're all at each other's throats. It's a competition. It's like, the best way to put it is just a real life Apprentice going on between all of these people with them.
Well, let's leave it there. If Democrats cannot take advantage of that between now and the election, it's political malpractice. But I know we can. I think Joe Biden's going to win. It's going to be close. Yeah. Lev, thanks for everything you're doing. Let's talk again soon.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for having me.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.